Hey, good morning, everybody, and welcome to Invisible Condition. It's not all in your head. I'm your host, Jeff Pearson, and we want everybody with an invisible condition to know beyond the shadow of a doubt that you do have a voice, you do have a community, and you are never alone. To that end, I can't wait for you to meet my guest today. Her name is Regina Bergman, and she's amazing. She struggled with an undiagnosed condition for the better part of 50 years. 50, 50 years. In 2017, she was finally told it was POTS, which is postural orthostatic tachycardia. I'm going to let her say it. Tachycardia. That's what it is. Postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome. There it is. There it is. POTS. Whew, it's a mouthful. She'll explain it more. Don't worry. She also dealt with pain from rheumatoid arthritis for over 10 years until it miraculously just disappeared, which is awesome. I love it when that happens, which she describes as a blessing for which she is extremely grateful, of course, because why wouldn't you be? That is amazing. She's an entrepreneur at heart. Regina has owned her own business since the early 80s, which is awesome. I love it. And since 2009, she's owned a bed and breakfast of all things, which is really cool too. Since 2015, she also owns and runs Bridgeport Strategy, which helps business owners to create a business that provides cash flow and freedom and time freedom and enhances relationships, all the things. It's awesome. She's amazing. I can't wait for you to meet her. Let's bring her on here and kick this off here. Good morning, Regina. Thank you so much for being here. This is so cool.
Good morning, Jeff. I'm so thrilled to be here with you today. I'm really looking forward to this.
Oh, man, that's a mouthful. POTS, is that like seriously? It took me a couple of tries and I still don't think I got it right. So you might have to correct me on that. I still think I totally butchered it. So
you did get it right. It's postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome.
Man, it is. It's a mouthful, and I know a few people that live with POTS, but it's still a mystery to me. And sometimes it's like, honestly, it was a mystery to them,
It is a mystery. And, there are a lot of physicians who still don't know what it is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of conditions. See, there's so many conditions that mirror or mimic a lot of similar things, so it's like, is it fibromyalgia? Is it lupus? Is it POTS? Is it, there could be, there's so many things that overlap. So it's no wonder it took you a while to get diagnosed properly.
Yeah. I finally in 2017 saw a cardiologist who came up with the idea that that's what it was. And up until then, nobody come up with anything, because the challenge is it's not something that you have all the time. It's situational.
Right.
So by the time you get to see a doctor about it, you're not in that situation anymore and the symptoms are gone, and they run all these tests and of course everything is fine. And so you just get this thick file of, she's a hypochondriac.
Right. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with her.
I can totally relate. Seriously. I know people with like seizure, like with a seizure disorder. So for instance, if you're not having a seizure, like you had a seizure a few hours ago, now you feel good enough to go to the doctor to tell them about it. There's no sign of it anymore.
Yeah. So he finally said, okay, there's a definitive test that we can do.
Sweet.
So that test is called a tilt table test.
Oh boy.
And they literally lay you on a table and strap you onto it. You're laying on your back and they strap you onto the table and they monitor your blood pressure and your pulse and all of that for a couple of minutes while you're laying there, a few minutes. Sure. And then they incline the table. So the head is up, feet are down. You're not standing on your head.
Good.
Yeah, but you're not standing straight up. You're at an angle about like so. And they continue to monitor you. Well, as they were doing this and I'm standing there and I'm talking with the technician and she says, don't stop talking. Just keep talking. I don't care what you say, but I'm monitoring some things. I just want to see what's happening while you're talking. I'm like, okay. So I'm continuing to make conversation. And she said, okay. She said, we can stop now if you want. So my blood pressure had dropped to 65 over 45 while standing and talking.
Oh, that's not good.
That's not good. She said, we could stop now if you want. I said, I'd rather not pass out. Yeah, let's stop.
Oh, yeah. Woo!
Yeah.
Wow.
And that was the only exertion, was talking while standing. And
Holy
so,
cow.
yeah, so I don't do a lot of talking and standing. My husband's very good about when we're in church or something, or I'm standing and talking to someone somewhere. He'll say, okay, sit down, sit down. You need to sit down.
Yeah.
He just doesn't want to catch me. That's all. No, I'm kidding.
I
I'm
mean,
kidding.
hey, I wouldn't want to catch me either. I mean, it's tough. It's hard.
It is hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yes, it was 50 years waiting for that tilt table test. Yeah. Because I was in my teens when I passed out the first time.
Sure.
I spent that year of high school, and I think it was my sophomore year. I can't remember for sure. I think it was my sophomore year. I spent most of one semester in bed. And are you ready for this diagnosis that they gave me at that time?
What?
You ready? Post-influenza. Okay, I have after the flu.
That's not even a thing.
I know.
Come on.
But they had no idea what it was. And that went on for 50 years. So,
I mean, I get that when you go to a doctor, you go to a whatever, medical, if you're after a diagnosis, they're going to give you one. You know, they have to give you something.
They have to give you
send
something.
you away and go, I don't know what it is. Good luck. They have to give you something. But that's a double-edged sword, right? Because if they give you the wrong diagnosis and you go down the road of the treatment for this one, but it's actually that one.
That could be a bad thing. Yeah.
It could be a terrible thing. So, well, I tell you what, anybody watching right now, if you or anybody that you know or love have had any other experience with POTS, or you know somebody that's experienced it, or you have questions about it, this is your girl right here. You want to ask questions, this is your chance. So
we
as
have a little bit of experience.
I mean, you've got more than most people, so a little is better than none. So if you have, so audience, if you have questions, reach out. And and you can reach out through, we're broadcasting on Facebook. You could be, if you're watching on Facebook, that's real easy to reach out, comment, same thing on YouTube. If you're watching on the TV on E360, you could reach out through, I'm going to put on this QR code, which is Regina's website. And there is a very easy spot there that they can reach out.
Absolutely.
And get in contact with you.
Yep.
And so if you have questions, seriously, Regina's pretty cool. If she doesn't know the answer, she'll tell you that she doesn't know the answer and points in the right direction. So, right. So, but reach out, if you have questions. You don't have to be specific or anything about it if you don't want to be, but she, we're here because we're doing this show because we want to help. So, So, so no diagnosis for 50 years.
Yeah.
Gross, by the way. No, thank you. Like what? No. So how did so that had to have had an impact, like your emotional and mental state over those, must have been crazy.
Yeah, because you're going along just fine, and then suddenly you start to have symptoms. Something triggers those symptoms, and then you can't figure out what's wrong, and so then you wind up going back to the doctor, and of course, like I said, you're not in the middle of it, so you're not having any symptoms, and they can't find anything, and so you go back to repeating life and just go back to life. It was frustrating, very, very frustrating. The frustrating part now is just the limitations. Now that I know what actually triggers, as I mentioned, standing and talking is one trigger. Heat is another. Heat is a big trigger. And I have to plan out my movements to some degree, So things we take for granted, getting up in the morning, getting your shower, having your breakfast, that kind of a thing. If I were to do all of that when I first get up, I would be passed out on the floor somewhere, either in the shower or in the kitchen floor. So I have to get up and sit for a while to let it level out. then I can do one or the other. I can have breakfast or the shower, but not both. I can't
Yeah.
do them successively. I need sit time again.
Wow.
I live in Houston, which is one of the hot places on the planet. I live indoors for the most part, you know, in the heat,
Yeah.
you know, in the cooler months, then I can walk down to the mailbox and block down and back. Not in the heat. I can't be out in the heat. It just totally triggers it. And so.
And you are coming into the go outdoors in anything but white t-shirt and you burst into flames type of season.
Exactly.
You go out there dressed in black and you're dangerously you're inviting disaster out there. It is so hot and humid in that town.
It is. And we're in the 90s, and I don't know what the humidity is, but it's a lot. So
when in doubt, it's probably over 100.
Yeah.
Yeah, Houston is a very. We were just there not that long ago, and it was not during the humid, like the summertime. It was in the like more in the cooler time, and it was woof.
Yeah,
brutal.
Yeah. So it is brutal for me for sure, and it's just really, and one of the things that I love about what I do is public speaking. Well, it's totally changed how I do that. So I either do it virtually for the most part because I can sit and do it. I have done some where I sit on a stool or a chair on the stage. But it's not the same dynamic, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but
but you do it.
I mean, there's a lot of things. There's a lot of people that have been speaking for a long time, and they speak. I mean, I can think of there's two people that immediately popped into my head that they sit on stage quite often, and it's got its own dynamic. You're right.
It does. Yeah.
It's different than when you're standing and maybe walking back and forth on the stage.
Right.
But it can be powerful too. It's all about the story. So
absolutely. So we don't let it stop us. We just keep on going. We just figure out how we work around it. As you well know.
Right? Yeah, exactly. No kidding. Yeah. Man. So from your bio, just getting back to a little bit of what I said before, in your intro, it appears that you had rheumatoid arthritis.
I did.
That's not something you usually say in the past tense.
I know. It's not something that typically goes away.
Right.
And I was diagnosed in the mid 2000s. I can't remember the exact year, but let's say 2005, somewhere in there.
Okay.
And in January of 2017 was when it just stopped.
What?
It just stopped. It was unbelievable. And because it's a very painful disease, and it just the Lord just took it away. That's the only way I can say it. The Lord just took it away. He said, okay.
Hey, I mean, it's in the scripture. He gives and he takes away. So,
That's right.
Sometimes every time I've ever heard that scripture, when people talk about it, the taking away is almost always a negative connotation to it.
Right.
It's it's like God gives and God takes away. But in this case, it was awesome.
It was unbelievable. I was on a high, I had to give myself injections and things for for it, and had seen multiple physicians for it.
Yeah. What a relief.
Yeah.
Like seriously. Like, what did you do when you fit? Like, was it just one day you woke up and it was gone?
Just gone? In that January, it just disappeared. January of 2017. Man, I was taking medication. I was ready to refill my medication, and it was just gone.
That gives me chills, man. I love that. That's so cool.
Yeah, it was. It was just a blessing.
Wow.
I'm forever grateful. Because that is not a fun disease to deal with.
No, I can't. That is one that I do not have experience with, and I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm all right.
There were times in my career when, I'm an office person. I do a lot of things in an office. And there were times I couldn't type. Fingers just couldn't do it. Just too painful. Yeah.
Well, and there's so many positive things that comes out of that, because now you're not taking medication as often, right? So that's easier on your body in general, because some of those meds are terrible, man.
Yeah, they are. They are.
Yeah. So
they're not.
Yeah, you were handed a gift for sure.
I was, for which I am eternally grateful.
That is fantastic. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, man, well, I'll tell you what, I know this is a little bit early for a break, but I feel like we're in a good spot to do that. Well, we're gonna go to a break here, and let some of the sponsors tell us what they're doing, and then we'll come back and we're going to talk more about POTS and but also about kind of how you're dealing with it and overcoming. I mean, you're still rocking it. So I want to, and we'll talk more about that in the second segment. So everybody, stick around, don't go anywhere, and we'll have more with Regina in just a couple of minutes. We will see you soon.
Hey there. Every time someone comes into your business or website and uses their card to pay, a percentage of that gets folded back into the system. But it can go to Hydro with Hope instead. If you'd like your business to support us rather than feed back into the system, scan the QR code and we'll show you how to do that while saving your business money.
In a world where office workers typically receive 130 daily emails and have an 8-second attention span, CoreCentrica, with her 4 decades of international marketing experience, has partnered with the Learning Code Institute and their 30 years of neuroscientific research. Together, we are crafting unique messaging strategies that resonate, connect, and ultimately convert our target audiences. CoreCentrica, where award-winning creativity and disruptive neuroscience come together. Scan this code now, or call and click, and let us show you how CoreCentrica's partnership with the Learning Code Institute is influencing how businesses connect with their audience, foster engagement, and achieve conversions.
Hi, Eva Baca-Currents here, and I am the host of One Punch Superstars, where we meet real people who chose to fight for their hopes and their dreams and become the champions of their destiny. You can find us on Achieve TV every Tuesday and Wednesday at noon Mountain Standard Time, right here on E360 TV.
Hey everybody, before we bring Regina back, I just want to highlight one of our amazing partners that we have, and that is the Porch Coffee. And it's in Portland, Oregon, which is an amazing town. Don't believe what people tell you that it's not great. I know they got a bad rap in the news, but Portland is so cool. So go check out the Porch Coffee PDX. It is their website, and you can scan the QR code, go to the website. So the Porch is a coffee space that was created for community to converge, a space where you can show up and be seen. The Porch is actually a nonprofit. Brett and Molly Pryor run the Porch, and it is a place that seeks to provide training and opportunity to those who are sometimes overlooked in our community. You know what I'm talking about? Coffee is kind of a vessel for that crosses all those boundaries and enables us to preserve dignity through the act of generous hospitality and building relationships with your neighbors, which is huge, which is what the Porch is all about. You too can be a part of what they're doing wherever you are, anywhere in the United States. They ship their coffee nationwide. I've actually got a couple bags right here. It is delicious. If you're a coffee nerd like me, I'm very picky about my coffee, and this stuff is amazing. They roast it, they ship it. It's phenomenal. So if you like coffee like I do, check them out, and you'll be benefiting an amazing mission as well. So, all right, we're going to bring Regina back on here. There we go. All right. Thank you so much again for being here. And I'm going to put your QR code on here. Before we get kicked off here for the second segment, why don't you just tell people when they go there, like if people want to reach you and ask questions about what we talk about today or anything about what you do, what are they going to find at that website?
Okay, so when you go there, if you the third page in is Ask Regina. So if you go across the toolbar at the top, there'll be like the home page, about page, and then Ask Regina. And if you click on Ask Regina, then there's an opportunity there for you to put in your information and any questions that you have, and that will come straight to my email, and I will respond.
Love it. Love it. All right. That's the best way to do it. Direct. There you go. Get right to it. So, so we've been talking about all the fun that you've been having with POTS. No, being a little sarcastic there, of course. POTS is terrible. It's not a fun condition, but and especially when you're misdiagnosed, which you were for a long time. So after finally being diagnosed, what were some of the first steps you took to like, okay, now I know, now this, we know we had, now I know this is what I have. Now, how do we manage it?
Great question. So my husband and I were actually sitting in an eye doctor's office, and he was looking at a magazine while I was there for the appointment, and he was looking at a magazine, and he came across an ad for a POTS treatment center in Dallas. And we were living in the Dallas area at that time. We were about an hour away from Dallas. And so we called them up and got in with them. And they do normally, I can't remember, I'm thinking it's like a couple of weeks or something. You know, you come there and you stay, and then you go back and forth. And we said, look, we just want to come and stay in a motel and go do everything you've got, you know, and figure this out.
Right.
And they do a lot of, what's the word I want? Oh my goodness. I lost the word.
It'll come to you.
But a lot of helping you retrain your brain, learning, understanding more about what you're doing and about what's happening in your body, and actually being able to control some of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so the word is on the tip of my tongue and I can't get it.
You get it. It'll come to you.
Yeah. Don't you love those moments? Anyway, and so they would teach you how to lower your body temperature or raise your body temperature through thinking about it, you know, through, can you get the word I'm looking for now? I can't get it still. Anyway, they would put you through these exercises and things. They talked about diet. They introduced me to a company called Heart Math that provides a tool to help you, again, with programming yourself a bit, being able to monitor your pulse while you're doing breathing, you know, or monitor, you know, those kinds of things, so that you begin to be more aware of your body and be able to correct situations. So they have the Heart Math had some cool programs in it. They have one for the computer, or they probably had many for the computer, but you can, you know, you're able to monitor the impact that you're having on yourself.
Sure.
Your breathing and your focus and all of that. And so that was really helpful. And just going through that POTS treatment center was helpful. And then getting the Heart Math program was helpful. I probably should go back to using it more than I do. I haven't really used it for a while. But it was extremely helpful at the time to really kind of gain some understanding of what was going on with me. When we arrived at the center, I actually, you know, had a walker that you could sit in and somebody push you, kind of a thing. And so I arrived in the walker. When I left the last day, I walked out on my own steam to the car. Nice. So that was good. It was interesting though, the people that came through there while we were there, all the different people that we saw, many of them were youth, young folks in high school. One young woman, she knew the signs in her body, and she would just lay down in the classroom, lay down on the floor because she didn't want to pass out. She knew where she would, and she'd just lay down. Kids who'd been really athletic and had to give up athletics because they just couldn't do it anymore. And so, but it was interesting how many youth are impacted by it.
Yeah. One of the other people that I know that lives with POTS, it was very recent. It was only in the last few years that she was diagnosed too. And so she didn't know a ton about it either, but I think she's in her 30s,
Yeah.
So, and I know there's probably people that are diagnosed much younger than that, but that struck me when she said that. I was like, man, that's young,
Yeah.
So yeah.
And like I said, being aware of those things even we all love a nice hot shower, right? But that nice hot shower can trigger the POTS. It's just too much heat. And so learning to cut that back a little bit, have it a little less heat there than what you'd really want. And just, knowing when to sit down, when it's like, okay, you cannot go any further. I mean, there are many times I'll be cooking something in the kitchen. I'll say, okay, hon, can you finish this? I got to sit down.
Right.
And hopefully I make it to the chair,
Oh man, I know that feeling. Yeah.
And we actually keep a stool in the kitchen so that if I'm at the stove or wherever and I'm experiencing problems, I can sit down on it and still continue to some degree. There are times that's not enough and you just have to go sit down or lay down. And but see, the cool thing is it doesn't take long because your body better than anybody else. You live in there, nobody else. So right.
So once you got that diagnosis and said, oh, that's what it is. You probably did a little research. And you're like, okay, the things that you can do that you now do to compensate for that probably came pretty quick. I mean,
they do. And it's interesting too. And what you make me think about is when you don't know, not knowing is the worst, right?
Yes.
Not knowing creates the fear and the anxiety and other things that usually exacerbate a condition, right?
Yeah.
And once you have that diagnosis and you understand more about what that condition is, which by the way, folks, what POTS is I'll call it a dysregulation of the autonomic nervous system. So our autonomic nervous system controls our pulse, our blood pressure, all of that.
Automatic stuff.
All those automatic things. And so if it's not working properly, then those things aren't working properly.
It's not great.
It's not great.
You want those working. Yeah.
Yeah, you want those working. But once you have that diagnosis, it makes it easier. And especially if you don't go into a poor me place.
Yes.
Because you can, get the diagnosis and you're like, oh man, my life is over.
Right.
You may have to make some adjustments. You mentioned I had a bed and breakfast. Well, ultimately in 2017, I had to sell the bed and breakfast because of POTS. I could no longer serve my guests in the way that I wanted to serve them. My guest rooms were upstairs. My office was upstairs. My, everything personally that I did was kind of upstairs, and getting up and down those stairs would create that condition of the blood pressure just dropping. And so, so it was finally, we said, okay, we just have to sell this and move on.
In the case of POTS, I know there's a lot of conditions out there, and military veterans, I mean, is another really big population that I see taking advantage of this in a good way, which is the service dogs, right?
Yes.
So does that ever factor in? Was that ever like a thing? Like, hey, I wonder if this would help.
I never thought about it for myself. No. So I don't know. And it was never suggested, and I never considered it.
I don't know.
I know
I'm
that
not
service
saying
dogs
sure,
can be
but
trained to, know when your blood pressure or blood sugar's off, and
yeah,
and
yeah.
all kinds of things.
They
I
can do
did
all
see,
kinds of cool stuff.
yeah,
So,
and I
just a
saw a
thought.
new watch the other day that intrigued me because you could monitor your blood sugar and your blood pressure and things like that through a watch. And I was like,
Wow. Blood sugar.
okay, yeah, it was even blood sugar. So
How do
I'm
they
not
how's
sure.
that? I don't know how
I
they do
know.
that. Wow. Okay. Hey,
I
technology,
have no
right?
idea how that works, but yeah, I think a big piece of it, a big piece of dealing with it is getting your head right.
Yeah.
Not getting caught in the poor me, because it's so easy when you
Mm.
because it's not a diagnosis of something that you expect is going to stop.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
so you could go down that poor me road. It's
I
not
mean,
say that again.
you could. I
You
mean,
could.
you didn't, obviously. You
I
didn't, or you
didn't.
didn't stay on that road. If you went
Yeah,
down there,
yeah, I
you
probably have my moments, but it's not a place I want to live. No.
no, everybody has their moments. I mean,
Yeah,
of course, some
yeah,
days are definitely better than others
true.
with any condition. I have better days and I have worse days, of course, but
Yeah, yeah,
um
but
and it's
but
unique to everybody, but
it
yeah,
is.
staying there is dangerous.
Staying there is very dangerous. Yes,
So,
and just exacerbates things.
yeah,
One
yeah,
of the
makes
most challenging things for me has been um, when I really get going with something, like in my business, an aspect of my business. I'm just charging forward,
yeah,
and then I get hit with it, and it's like I was all set to do this, and I can't do this, whatever
it's
this was. And so
yeah,
that's frustrating, when that happens.
that is common to a lot of those, I think of fibromyalgia when it comes to that kind of stuff too. It's
Yeah.
like people that like, I just don't make plans.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I just don't make plans ahead of time, because I
Right.
don't know what I'm going to feel like in a week. I might have to
Yeah.
bail on you, and I don't want to disappoint you, so we're just not going to do that,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
And so,
You
yeah,
do have to plan, though. You do have to kind of plan things.
sure.
My daughter and her family were here this past week for 3 days.
Mm,
And it's hot in Houston, as we talked about. And part of what we were doing was we went down to Galveston, which is not too far away, and spend a little time on the beach at the
nice.
hotel. And then they wanted to go to NASA. My granddaughter's very interested in space program and things of that
Alright.
nature, science and space. My grandson's very interested in dinosaurs. So
Yes.
on Thursday they were going to NASA, and on Friday they were going to a dinosaur thing.
That's awesome.
But we said, okay, yeah, love to go, but no, we're not going to do that because it's probably going to be too much to do. And
Yeah.
just spending the Wednesday in the sun, even though we were in the shade most of the time, but just being outside, sitting by the pool while the kids played in the pool and that kind of thing. Just
Yeah.
all of that. It took me about 3 days to recover from
I bet.
just being at the beach.
Yeah.
And we just
Yeah.
came home the next morning, and we didn't go to the dinosaur, and we didn't go to NASA. It was
Mhm.
more than I felt that I could handle in terms
Yeah.
of the mobility required to do
Well,
those things.
I
So
get that. Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
so you enjoy the moments that you can, and sometimes
yeah.
you pay for them,
Well, but it's worth it, I think.
but it's worth it.
Totally,
That was worth it. I would not
Yeah.
have traded those moments with my daughter and her family for anything,
Mm-mm.
And
No.
so,
And
yeah.
so despite all that, I mean, okay, so we've established that POTS is tough to live with at times, but that obviously did not stop you from, and yes, you sold your bed and breakfast, but you're doing something different now.
Yeah.
And you're rocking it. So tell us, if people come to you and they want to know more about Bridgeport Strategy, what is that? What are you doing? How do you help people?
Sure. So I started Bridgeport Strategy in 2015, and just to give you a little backup, I still have my bed and breakfast. We bought the bed and breakfast, or bought the home that we turned into a bed and breakfast in 2012, and then my husband passed away in 2014.
Mm.
And the opportunity to become a coach, a life coach at the time, had crossed my desk a few months before he passed away. And I said, the timing's not right, and then it came back around after he passed. And I thought, okay, things are different. I'm going to do this. But I quickly discovered that I really was more focused on the business side of things than the life coaching side. And life coaching kind of comes with business coaching. You coach that whole person.
You can't separate
as that business owner. Yeah. They're a whole person.
Yeah.
And so in January of 2015, I started Bridgeport Strategy. And so what I do is to help business owners, CEOs, to create exponential profitability in their business while creating a business that can run without them. Yeah.
That sounds glorious.
Exactly. And the challenge,
please.
part of what drives me is that years before that, in 1996, I started a staffing firm with a partner who passed away 6 years into that. I continued for another 6+ years on it. And in January of 2009, we had 6 offices. I had 25 internal employees. We had 200 employees placed with clients. We were in 2 states. We had 3 divisions doing things for our clients. But you know what happened in 2008? The financial crash of 2008. By March of 2009, I had to close my doors, just close the doors. Every client we had said, we're not doing anything for 6 to 9 months until we see what's happening in this economy. I couldn't support a business. No. I just literally had to close the doors. So that's a big part of what drives me, because I don't want other business owners going through that.
Yeah.
I want them to know what it takes to be successful. I want them to know how they need to structure their business internally so they have more options than what I had at that point. Right. And I know that 95% of businesses that go to a business broker to sell their business have nothing to sell. They literally turn away 95% of the calls they get.
Yeah.
And that's just wrong. It's heartbreaking it's not wrong of them. It's wrong that we don't teach entrepreneurs how to build a business that can run without them, that has value to someone else, that's got profitability, that's got recurring revenue, that doesn't need that owner to be there every day to run the business. And if you can't do those 3 things, you probably can't sell it. Go ahead, Jeff.
Well, I was going to say, or that could sell it, right? Because that's part of it too. Because if you're running it and you want to start another business, but you need capital, you could, if you don't have something to sell, you're up a creek here.
And if it relies on you to run, nobody else wants it because they're not going to have you.
Because there's only one of you.
Yeah, there's only one of you. Yeah. So my goal is to change that and to give them enough education that they can actually hire somebody to run it, or they can sell it. And because they poured their heart and soul into building this business, thinking they have this really great asset that they can sell, only to be told you don't have anything you can sell. Yeah. And so what do? They close the doors, right?
Yeah.
The other part go ahead.
Because you don't know what you don't know.
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know.
So they have this business and it's their baby. And then they want to sell it and retire, and they just end up, it just evaporates into thin air.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No.
Yeah.
No.
And maybe So and whether you want to hear it right now or after a break or whatever, but the other piece that drives me on that is families and marriage. So my first book was Bulletproof Your Marriage. And I have a motto in my business that save a business, save a marriage. Because a business that's struggling is hard on the marriage, hard on the family. Yeah.
It can be. So. It really can be. That is 100% true. I mean,
it can absolutely destroy it.
Oh, it can. I mean, yeah. Part of that is anytime you bring money into the mix, it can, which is the main reason that most businesses fail.
Exactly.
Right?
Lack of profitability and cash flow. Absolutely.
Yeah. And so when it's lack of profitability and cash flow, where do you draw money from? Yeah. Which is most of the time is personal finances.
Personal finances. Yeah.
And then,
And then the other challenge is that we recreate what we learn, right? So our children, if we're in a troubled marriage, that's what our children learn.
Yeah.
And so it's a generational impact.
Yes.
And it's not just our marriage, it's our children's lives as well.
Man,
So if I can help them be more successful, profitable, successful, have a business that can run without them, we've just not only maybe saved their marriage, but their children's marriages.
save their family. Yeah.
Saved their family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I think this is the perfect place to take another break, because that's the perfect cap on a wonderful segment. That's amazing. So everybody, so I'm gonna put that QR code up again. Don't worry. I know I took it down. We're gonna put it back up there. Don't worry. That just means you got to come back after this break, so you can see that QR code again, scan it, and get in touch with Regina. So stick around. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Does your to-do list have you feeling stressed? Does your list include tasks like responding to email and phone calls, collecting forms and paperwork, and sending quotes and invoices? Have you been neglecting posting updates to your social media accounts, email newsletters, or content on your website? Maybe you need help to get digitally organized. I'm Selena, one of the owners at Office Mercenary, and we're a US-based virtual assistant agency. We can take care of all of these tasks and more so you can get back to focusing on the things you love about your business. Our team is happy to work with you and your individual needs. So schedule a call with us, bring your to-do list, and stop doing the tedious tasks.
The Club eFit Home Portable Gym System is a groundbreaking new system that can help everyone at any fitness level. You can be the happy, fit person you always wanted to be, and Club eFit can make that happen by helping you get the body you deserve in the time you can spare. With workouts ranging from cardio, core, to total body toning, it's easy to get started. Start taking care of you today. To make the change, go to clubefit.com now.
Hey, how you doing? My name is Greg Russell. I'm the host of TechnologyTuesday.com. You can find us on the Conscious Business TV network every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the latest resources to help you make more money in your business. Join us on E360 TV. Come on.
All right, welcome back, everybody. We're almost done. This is crazy. Time flies when you're having fun, but we still have more to the story here. So, I love what you're doing in your business and how you're helping people and saving families. Honestly, is what you're doing, and so I love that. And when we talk about, I like to so. There's a word that gets thrown around a lot in our house, and that's hope. There's and not just the, oh, I hope I get there on time. Oh, I hope it's the hope that means something.
Yeah.
You know, it's the biblical hope, you know what I mean? Like
I do.
And so what I want to ask you, what I ask everybody on the show, because I always love hearing the responses. They're all different, but they're all awesome. On the days that are tough, on the days that you're on the floor, or maybe you made it to the chair on time, how do you find hope?
I think that it comes back to exactly what you said. It comes back to faith, my faith in God, and knowing that He has a plan for my life.
Yes.
And that I need to do my part, but He's got the plan. And I need to keep touching base with Him. Am I going in the right direction? Am I doing the thing you want me to do today? And for me, hope is everything.
Yeah.
Without hope, we are truly lost.
Yeah.
And but if you have faith, then I think you have that hope as well.
Those do come hand. Yeah. If you have faith, if you have a relationship with Jesus, you have that faith in God, then hope is kind of built right in.
Exactly.
It really is. So
yeah. Yeah. It's like you can have joy in the middle of the crisis, in the middle of everything you're going through, you can still have joy. I always believe that happiness is a choice.
Yes.
But joy goes so far beyond happiness.
It's kind of like love in a marriage, right? It's like you don't always necessarily like your spouse every single second of every single day that you're married, but you always love them because you made the commitment, that covenant of marriage, that you will love them forever.
Yes.
And that's the same thing with hope. Okay, happiness is one thing, joy is another.
Is totally another. Yeah.
Happiness comes and goes, but
and it's interesting, having gone through a period in my life where I wasn't experiencing happiness, even though I felt it was a choice, and I was choosing happiness. This was after my husband passed. I was, and while I was still in that widow's fog, I was choosing happiness, but I couldn't feel it. And it was like I'm searching throughout my being for where it's located, and I can't find it. And one of the things in my life that I do unconsciously when I'm happy, there's always a song in my head, in my heart, or coming out of my mouth. I'm probably singing off key, but there's still a song. And as I was walking through the dining room one day, I realized I was singing. I mean, it was something I didn't think about. It just happened. And then I went, wait a minute, I was singing in the shower this morning, and it's like, okay, I got my happiness back.
Nice.
But the joy aspect was always still there.
Yeah.
I knew who I was. I knew my Lord and Savior, and I knew he had a purpose for my life. And I knew I would be with my husband again someday.
100%. Yeah.
100%. And so that part was still there, but the happiness was hard.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, because the joy, like going through we've been through it in the last 10 years too, with all the things we've had to do with me, with my surgeries and all that stuff.
Right.
The happiness is almost reliant on the joy, right? Because it's like the joy is, I know this is for a reason.
Yeah.
Happiness is, I feel really good today and I can do things that I couldn't do yesterday.
Yeah.
So it's, you don't always have one, but one is always constant.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So, yeah. Speaking of joy and hope and all that type of stuff, is there anything about your challenges that all the stuff that you've been through, like, what are you thankful for in the midst of all that?
Oh, now you're going to make me emotional, aren't you?
I mean,
I think, people around me, I think, is one of the things I'm most thankful for, is the people around me. Okay, so folks, I am the biggest crybaby on the planet. So, if you see a tear or two here, just know it's normal. When I was struggling with the arthritis and POTS, I can remember, the POTS hadn't been diagnosed yet, but still had it. But I can remember sitting in church and my hands would just hurt so much from the arthritis, the rheumatoid arthritis. And my daughter was sitting next to me in church, and she would just massage my hands. She would just gently rub my hands just to make them feel better. A very small act, human to human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Love
those
it.
are the things my husband does for me. The just the care and consideration that people offer is everything.
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
that's why it's for richer, for poor, and sickness and health, right? That's
exactly.
It's like that was by design, know?
Yeah.
So it's true.
Yeah.
Man. Well, I don't know how to follow that, but we have about 3 or 4 minutes left.
About 3 or 4 minutes.
Done. I know. It's like it just kind of went boom. Yeah. We're done. For those of you that are out there that are younger, have somebody older explain what I
Yeah, really.
what the heck did he just do? Anyway, so do you have anything, like, what do you want to leave our audience with? If you could encapsulate it in 3 or 4 minutes, what would you like to leave our audience with for this?
Finding others who understand what you're going through, whether they're personally experiencing it or not, but also, if you're going through POTS, finding somebody else who has experienced that and can kind of hold your hand and guide you and walk you through what this journey looks like. Maintaining that faith and hope, being, knowing that, as I said, God has a purpose for your life. And I think so frequently the purpose of our struggles is so that we can help someone else. Because if you haven't walked it, it's really hard to help someone else. And so your struggles are a blessing to others when you're able to then hold their hand, walk them through, and be that guide for them.
Love that. It's true. If you haven't gone through it,
it's really hard to.
And there's those times where you just got to sit and listen, and you're not there to help. You're there just to be an ear, to listen and just be there with the person. But and so anybody can do that with anybody. But
anybody can do that.
But to be there and actually be a help to them, you have to have gone through it.
You have to have experienced something in your own life, even if it's a parallel, if it's something that's not the same thing they're going through, but you've experienced the loss, you've experienced the trials, you've experienced whatever that is, that gives you compassion. Experience gives you compassion. And compassion is what's needed in our relationships. Yeah.
That's for sure. Compassion could go a long way.
Long way. When I had my staffing firm, one of the things that we worked really hard at was helping people understand who they were and who their coworkers were, because with that understanding comes compassion.
Well,
and that changes everything.
Especially with a staffing agency, you're dealing with people that are out of work. You're dealing with people that are struggling with their identity already, because a lot of people associate what they do with who they are, which is which is also kind of an identity crisis. My identity isn't what I do, it's in Jesus. So it's different. But for a lot of people it is. So you got to deal with that a lot, I bet.
Yeah.
So, man. Whew. Well, I tell you what, I absolutely love what we got to get out to our audience today. And I'm so thankful that you were able to be here and that we were able to get this figured out so that you could be on the show. And I'm just, thank you.
It was my pleasure. Thank you so much for having me on the show, Jeff. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. We will,
and as you said, folks, just, click on that QR code, go to that website, click on Ask Regina and ask me anything you'd like.
Absolutely. Yeah. Please do reach out. Yeah. She's amazing. And I can't wait for you to connect with her, because it'll be awesome. So okay, guys, it's going away. I'm taking it down. All right, there you go. You have to wait for the replay now. All right. Thank you, Regina.
You bet.
All right, everybody. Oh man, I love shows like that. She's so cool. We here we go. All right, everybody. Thank you for watching. Seriously, if this is your first time watching, thank you. I'm so glad you found us. If this is your 100th time watching and you've been with us a long time, thank you. I appreciate you as well. If you have a favorite episode, if you've been with us for a while or you're new or whatever, if you find an episode that you really like, share it. It's probably somebody else's favorite too, or it will be. If this is your new favorite episode, share it. Like, subscribe, follow, all the things. You know how it works on social media, so that you know when the next episode's coming up. Incidentally, the next episode will be on Tuesday, June 25th. So I will see you then. Man, just thank you for watching. I appreciate you, and have a wonderful day.